Hello, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family. Welcome to today's member spotlight. I have here Michelle Patino, and she's going to talk to us on how to improve our gut health using yoga and Ayurveda. So, just a little bit about Michelle. She's the founder and owner of BU Yoga and began practicing yoga in 2008 and then became a certified yoga instructor in 2016. She recently completed her internship with the California College of Ayurveda and is now a certified Ayurvedic health counselor practicing and teaching Ayurveda. So, as such, she treats all students holistically through this Ayurvedic lens. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Lore. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, to be part of this, and to share some information with people about gut health. It's really easy to take in information. So, yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, so let's just start with Ayurveda because you want to talk about like what it is and how it can help us.
Exactly.
Okay.
For sure. Now, gut health is something that's universal. I mean, it's very easy to think of a time when maybe we had the belches or maybe things weren't leaving our body quite the way that we wanted them to. So, Ayurveda, I have to educate a lot of people on this. Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga. They go together because they come from the same ancient texts, ancient scriptures. And what they are is together they work to help a person live their best, fullest life. Most people think that yoga is a workout and that it's for your body, but it's actually to bring stillness to the mind. What Ayurveda does is it helps keep us in good health so that we can live our life to our fullest. And it really starts with digestion. Ayurveda believes that disease actually starts when we're not digesting our food properly. So, what Ayurveda wants us to do is be very mindful not only of the foods that we take in, but the way that we take the foods in. It's just as important how you eat as what you're eating. In fact, my teacher, Dr. Halpern from California College of Ayurveda, says that he would rather have us eat a hamburger and fries the right way than to eat a salad or a smoothie the wrong way. And so I'd like to share with people some wonderful wisdom that Ayurveda has to help us to eat properly and to stay healthy, keeping our gut healthy. So when you're digesting your food right, everything in your system is going to work better. So one of the habits, one of the practices that Ayurveda would want us to try in order to digest our food better, believe it or not, is to just simply eat without distraction. A lot of times people will eat and they're flipping through their phone, or they're right, watching TV. Watching the news while you eat is like one of the worst things you can do for your digestive system. Watching anything really that's going to sway your emotions around is going to affect the way that you digest your food. So a lot of us don't even realize that when you're watching TV, when you're doing these mindless activities and not paying attention to your food, you're really kind of giving yourself a disservice. Another thing that happens when we are watching, when we are eating in a distracted way, is we're not chewing our food completely. That is a huge way for us to help our body digest food, is to be mindful and chew your food completely. Pay attention to the food in your mouth. See that it gets to an even consistency. We're taught as children that digestion starts in the mouth, but we're really not taught about the full effect of that. So by giving your body a chance to allow the digestive enzymes in your mouth to mix the food thoroughly before you swallow it, you're going to be preventing disease in the long run. Just that simple. Another thing that we're doing when we're not eating distracted and we're chewing our food completely is we're going to notice when we're full. Many of us have tendencies to eat, especially if the food is really delicious, to just eat and eat and eat and overeat. And you're like, oh, that was so good. I'm so full. I just got to eat this last bite, right? Who doesn't do that? I'm guilty too. But when we eat mindfully, when we slow down, we eat till we're satisfied, not full, we're able to digest our food better. And this leads to better overall health and wellness. You see, Ayurveda sees our digestion, our digestive fire, like a campfire. Okay. So if you think about a campfire, you have wood, you have the flame, right? Sometimes there's a breeze, it'll blow the fire around. If it's a heavy breeze, it'll blow the fire out. Same thing with rain. If there's a light drizzle and a strong fire, it won't really affect the fire. But if it's a heavy rain, it'll put the fire out. So our digestive system is similar to a campfire. The fire being the hydrochloric acid in our stomach, the bile fluids that are breaking down the fuel, the food, which is similar to the wood, right? In order to burn the wood completely, we need a steady flame. And so by eating proper practices, we're going to keep that campfire, our digestive fire, steady so that it burns all the fuel that we're putting into our gut, all the food. When you burn it completely, there's no toxins left behind. You're able to eliminate everything that you're supposed to eliminate. Your body is able to absorb all the things that it's supposed to absorb. So another point that we want to remember when we're taking in our food is to not overeat so that you have the right amount of air and fuel, and fire in your stomach to burn the food completely. Excuse me.
I have one of those too. We can do sips together.
Yes, it's important to stay hydrated. Another thing that's really big in Ayurveda, but we're talking about gut health. But now here's an interesting thing. Also, we don't want to overconsume liquids, or especially water, while we are eating, because we need that digestive fire to stay high to burn the fuel that we're putting into our stomach. So it's important to not chug a lot of water while you're eating your meals. It's okay to sip water. And in that same note, it's most ideal to not take cold beverages, especially while you're digesting your food. And with my patients, I get a lot of kickback with that, especially here in California, where it can be like 110 degrees in the summer. And people are like, Michelle, you're trying to tell me not to put ice in my water, ice in my beverages. And I'm not going to tell you not to, because we don't really say no, but we just say it's not harmonious. It's not very ideal, especially if your digestion is already compromised for any reason. It's not going to be ideal to take cold when you want something hot in your stomach, when you're trying to have a nice high fire going. So Ayurveda says it's not a good idea to take cold liquids when you're trying to digest your food. Also, cold foods are less ideal for digestion. Ayurveda says it's a better idea to take your foods warm or hot, maybe not burning hot, but the colder it is, the more tricky it is to digest. So especially if you're feeling compromised, or if your body is fighting off of a cold, if your body is fighting off of a disease, maybe you have a sore throat and you're like, oh, I can feel something coming on. Then you really, really want to be more careful with the way you're digesting your food. Because if your body is spending all of its energy trying to digest cold food and you're drinking ice cold water with it, well, then it can't put the energy that it needs into your immune system, fighting off whatever you can feel is coming on. So this is another reason why Ayurveda is very important for your gut, for taking care of your gut health. Another thing that's important is resting after a meal. Again, if your body is busy digesting food, then how is it going to, then you don't want to be running around doing work. This is actually something that I have a bad habit of doing. When I finish eating, I'm like, okay, I got to get to what's next. And then if I don't pause and give myself a little break, I'll definitely feel my stomach. I'm like, oh no, I'm burping up my lunch because I decided to, start getting to work, whatever it is. And I'm sure that anybody watching this, that can resonate with them too. That it's just really important to let your digestive system have a moment or two and do its job, do what it needs to do. Ideally, it would be nice to take 30 minutes to an hour and just rest, but in a crazy world like today, it's not very common for us to have that kind of time. So even just sitting and taking 3 breaths, 5 breaths, if you do it, you will feel the difference, because our nervous system and our digestive system, they are so innately connected. I mean, think of it. It's not uncommon to not have an appetite when you get nerves, or the other way around, feel like you need to eat a lot when you have the nerves. So we're taking care of the digestive system and taking care of the nervous system at the same time. All right. And so another thing that Ayurveda is concerned about in taking care of your gut is food combinations, combining foods. The order of foods that we eat in can really affect gut health. Some of you may be familiar, may have heard this, that your body likes to digest sweet first. And so it's less than ideal to take fruits with other foods because of the order that our bodies want to digest things in. It's going to ignore the other items in favor of digesting that sweet first. And if it's not digesting all of your food items completely, they're being stored as toxins in the body. It's really interesting. So a little joke that I like to make is, in Ayurveda, we say, eat dessert first. Now, I don't necessarily want to advocate eating high sugary snacks, your cakes and things like that, because again, that's less than ideal for your gut health. Your intestinal flora gets addicted to those sugary carbs and craves them, and we know that they are not going to be very harmonious for your general overall nutrition. And so sweet at the beginning of a meal, and we tend to say save your salads for the end of the meal because they're the hardest to digest. They're going to need the most time. So you save them for the end so that your body is able to get through all the sweet digestion first. And then another thing about food combining is that certain foods are less harmonious when combined together. When you need to keep your digestion simple, it's best to combine meats with veggies or rice with veggies. When you combine meat, rice, and veggies, it gets a little bit trickier to digest. Now, I'm not saying never do that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's less harmonious. So again, when we feel indigestion happening, think back, notice, what foods did I have together? Did I have maybe a salad with fruit in it? Did I have meat and potatoes? They're really huge in our diet here in America, but they are a very tricky food combination. Our typical American breakfast, well, I shouldn't say typical. A common American breakfast is what? Like eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice, maybe some hash browns. That is a recipe for a nap, my friends. At least for me, it is. That is a really tricky food combination. And now I don't want to say everybody is going to feel sick from eating that, but next time you have something like that, notice how you're feeling half hour later, an hour later. Make it your own truth. You don't have to just listen to me and say, oh, Michelle says that these things are bad to eat. These things, are not going to be good for me. A lot of what Ayurveda is about having your own experience with it, finding your own truth, because every one of us are different. We're all made of different constitution. Some of us can digest things better than others. Some of us are horrible at digesting certain things, right? Some of us can drink coffee at 8 p.m. and fall asleep at 9 p.m. Some of us can drink coffee at 8 a.m. and not fall asleep at night still from it. So that's why it's very important when you listen to these rules in Ayurveda, they're guidelines. Yoga is simply looks like physical movements that are really meant to help us quiet the mind. So Ayurveda uses yoga as a tool. When it comes to digestion, we have a few simple yoga poses that can help with the body focusing its attention in the gut area. But there's no magic wand, right? We need to use our wisdom when we're taking foods in. We need to use wisdom when we're putting our body into certain positions, so that no matter what we're doing, but like I said, there's no magic wand. We are always being mindful to serve our digestion with just harmonious practices. It's not about judging yourself and eliminating things that are bad and only doing things that are good. So when you want to look into Ayurveda or yoga, it's it's a lot about just creating harmony and space for yourself and not judging yourself. So that is all really that I want to share about gut health and being good to yourself with Ayurveda and yoga, friends.
Well, thank you. So how, if someone's interested in working with you, what does that look like? Do they have to be in person? Can it be through distance? Maybe just kind of share a little bit about what it would look like, if someone wanted to use your services.
Oh, that is a great question, Laura. Thank you so much. So, as an Ayurvedic health counselor, I help people make diet and lifestyle changes, shifts, adjustments, and we can do that in person or online. I've worked with people in Vegas, in Philadelphia, on the East Coast, all over the country, and in person as well. When we work together, usually starts off with a consultation where I find out all about the person's, the way they eat, the way their body runs, how their relationships are, because all of this affects us. And then we have weekly meetings depending on the patients. Some people like to come every other week, and we follow up on different lifestyle practices that they're engaging in. I will make recommendations on how to make gentle Ayurvedic shifts in their life to bring more harmony and wellness. And a lot of the recommendations I make are those guidelines that I just mentioned. I'll ask them, okay, try to practice taking 3 breaths before your meals this week and see how that treats you. And what we do is we make gentle shifts in the way that we spend our time, in our practices, because it's how you live your daily life that really determines your overall health and well-being. And so that's what it is. I spend a lot of time being a mirror for people, educating them on the way their own physiology works, like with these guidelines and eating combinations. We talk about herbs, using herbs. Herbs are the pharmaceuticals of yoga and Ayurveda. So we talk about cooking practices, foods that are going to be more harmonious for a person and less harmonious for a person. And everybody's different. So that's why I get really nosy with all my patients, so I can really understand what they're made of, what makes them tick. And that way I'm able to make recommendations that make sense for them and to them. Some people, certain things just aren't going to work, and that's okay. It's about meeting a patient where they are. Because not everybody is going to be able to just sit down and eat without distraction. Sometimes that takes a year before a person can do that. Sometimes I have to just talk them into sitting down to eat. So all it is reach out to me. We'll set up a consultation. I'll send you the paperwork. You tell me about yourself. In the consultation, we go over all the paperwork, and then we just start to have our regular meetings where my patients just start to understand more and more about themselves. And that's really what it is. I get a lot of people that are like, my doctors can't tell me what's going on anymore. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm on this prescription, that prescription. I just want to be me. I just want to be natural. And that's what I do. I help people be themselves naturally.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think so too. We have to remember that, we all have just this beautiful soul, this beautiful spirit. And sometimes the funk of the world weighs it down. So I show people how to clear it off.
Wonderful. All right. So I did put your website in the comment section. So if anybody's interested in learning more about Michelle, check out her website. You got all kinds of things on there, resources for people to look at. So definitely check her out and, schedule a call. It never hurts to ask your questions. Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing your wisdom and for being with us today.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Anybody watching, it's just beautiful to be part of this community. I'm so grateful. And I hope I get to see you all soon.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody.